Hello friends, my name is Kaysha and I'm a proud member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. And I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. My trafficking began in Saskatchewan, moved into Alberta, and even crossed into the United States. I was stalked, hunted, and ignored by the very systems over the last 5 years that were meant to protect me. This is why, with my father Dale Richardson, we started the Karis Project. This is an Indigenous, survivor-led movement for humanity dedicated to exposing trafficking, government corruption, and holding institutions accountable. One of the most powerful tools that we are using is the petitions for redress of grievances. These are lawful constitutional actions rooted in Canadian and US law, and in treaties that tie us together across provinces, across states, and even across borders. These petitions are precedent-setting. They create a binding record. They demand accountability while representing reconciliation in action. Indigenous and non-Indigenous people working side by side to preserve liberty for all. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help to keep this movement alive, to raise awareness and to build a legacy of justice for Indigenous women, for trafficking survivors, and for families everywhere. Thank you. Please stand with us. Your support makes this work possible. Together we can restore justice, heal families, and defend freedom. And I will close with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. And men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Karis Project podcast. And for anybody, if you want, go ahead and support. We have the action plan. There's the gifts and go in the donor box. We are raising money to fight this human trafficking and actually bring solutions, not like a lot of people who are out here yapping and trying to cause division and destroy situations. And so we're going to come back and kind of start talking about some of the stuff that was going on today. We'll look at a couple of clips of people who were talking about the poor girl who lost her life and so forth. And you have race baiters all over the place on every side trying to stoke the fires of this, because some people just want to go ahead and create problems. And so let me get this clip up here. We'll bring up. Yeah, we'll start here. We're just going to listen to what some people have to say. It's just this is shameful. It's like watching a bunch of children trying to go ahead and fight over something, and even though people know it's true, they want to keep certain voices silent so that they can go ahead and stoke their divisions. They don't want people to come in to have calmer heads prevail. They want war. And that's nonsense. So let's listen to this clip.
So more footage was just released of Irina Zaretska, the Ukrainian woman who had her life ended on a subway in Charlotte, and it just gets even sadder. This is the footage immediately after she was attacked and stabbed in the neck. So it looks like the man in the gray immediately gets up and walks away, walking right past Irina without saying a word or even checking on her. Right after this lady and this man also get up and leave, and the two people in the back seem to stay put, but not a single person went to help her. You can see the fear in her eyes right after this happened and the confusion as to why. She then immediately looks to others for some sort of assistance or comfort, but receives nothing. all as she is visibly bleeding out onto her clothes and on the floor in literally her last moments. And as she realizes what just happened, she begins crying to herself all alone. Maybe if one of these people tried to help her in any way, she could still be here today. Rest in peace to Irena. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, I'll keep you guys updated.
Wait a second. That one guy in the gray shirt that was standing in the middle, it looks like he ran after the guy. Because as soon as the guy went out, he went running forward, and that looks like the same guy who came back to help hold her neck. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like the same guy who came back to hold her neck and check on her after, and it was one of the only people that was there putting pressure on her neck. The other people don't even look like they're really paying attention, that they were able to see the guy swipe her neck. They just saw him, like, it looks like they just saw him run out.
The guy did it so quick.
Yeah.
You
couldn't distinguish that he had it. You can't even see on the camera really how quick he went. You cannot distinguish what he hit her with in the neck. And the way that she responded, obviously in shock.
Most people have not seen somebody die. Most people haven't seen. I remember I was on the bus coming home from school, and this dude came in between two buildings, and he shot this woman in the back of the head. And I was looking out the window, and I saw the guy come out, and it was like in a split second. It felt like it was forever, but it was very, very fast.
Yeah.
I couldn't even open my mouth and get words out of my mouth, and she was dead.
Yeah.
Right? Because when I saw it, it was like, and then he pulled the trigger, but it was just whatever. Everybody got up off the bus and they ran. Yeah. Everybody. The bus driver grabbed me and begged me to stay so somebody could talk to the cops. I was like, all right. Right? Because everybody cleared off. I was the last one waiting there. I was just stunned.
Yeah, when I was in high school, or go ahead.
No, but I mean, they ended up catching the guy a couple of hours later because of the description, and then they brought him in, and he ended up going to jail for life or whatever. But the whole fact of the matter is people sit down and don't understand what's going on. When you see something like that, and first of all, there was, I couldn't tell it was blood spurting out until she fell over.
Yeah, because it wasn't in the video until she fell over. Then the blood started going everywhere. So it's like, how is anyone else gonna know what really happened? I actually saw someone, or you want to say something?
No, I just the girl just was in shock. I guess she realized she was gonna die or something because of the way it plunged into her.
I actually saw someone die on the way to school once, on the bus. Everyone was watching. We were at the stoplight, and this guy was speeding, and I told my friends in real time, I was like, guys, this guy's speeding. He's going to hit the semi. He's going to die. I just said it out of I think this is what's going to happen. The guy smashed into it, died in an instant. And my friends were like, oh my gosh, they freaked out. Nobody, just like my dad said, nobody wanted to tell the school what happened because obviously the police went, they did the report or whatever, but we still kept going to school. And then when we got to the school asked us about it and asked if anyone wanted to give a statement. I was the only one who went to give information and actually draw out a picture for them of what actually happened because I was like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. But most people, when they see stuff, they're scared. They don't know how to respond. And they're just they're stunned. And I was in grade 9.
And just to add, it was a white woman who got shot by a white dude, and all the white people got up and left. The only person who went to talk to the police was a black dude, right? And everybody likes to sit down and say, "Oh, like this nonsense." It's the content of someone's character. I don't even give a damn. I'm looking at some of these big accounts on there that they're sitting down, and as far as I'm concerned, they're controlled opposition because you're sitting down here doing things that you know full well is going to just destroy the country, and you're silencing people so that your narrative can get pushed forth. But wake up and smell the coffee, because when you go ahead and allow rights to be taken from anybody, nobody has rights. None.
Well, and I want to say something briefly before we really get into this because people were telling me online, oh, it should have been you on the bus. You probably just hate white people, whatever. The only reason I know Russian and my father knows Russian, the only reason we speak Russian is because when I was in high school, my dad was going to marry a Ukrainian woman. A single mother Ukrainian woman. And I learned Russian so that we could talk to this woman and connect with her on a more personal level. That is the only reason I took time to learn Russian in high school. I care about Ukrainian people. I care about women. I care about children. I myself, as a Native American, American Indian under the Jade Treaty, Indigenous woman, whatever you want to say, of all the people complaining about this online, I understand the position that she's been in because I've had people bring machetes on me, knives, duct tape, rope. I've been attacked by the pit bulls of traffickers. I've had people put guns on my head and clock it. I've been beaten, drugged, and raped. I know what it is to be in danger in the streets. I know what it is to be isolated and alone. That girl should have never been in the position where she was forced to flee her home country and be separated from maybe men in her life that could have actually protected her. I understand what that woman's position was. I'm grateful to be alive, but I easily could have been that woman. But everyone's sitting around acting like it's just one situation or it's not. It's not. People are just going around trying to distract from something else so that the problem actually doesn't get fixed. And then everyone's blowing up this one situation and trying to act like it doesn't happen anywhere else. It's a lie when it's someone else, but it's only true when it happens to white people. That's not the case. And that's going to get loads of people killed. And that's what's pissing me off because a lot of women and children right now, they're going to be in the same position. It's going to be because these cowardly, treacherous men. Cucks.
There's just a lot of people that want to get help, but the loudest people that seem to be on there are the ones on both sides that are trying to create a racial division.
Yeah.
And that is doing the work of the globalists. So I have to just sit down and wonder and ask, what are people doing? Because it doesn't matter if you're willingly participant in it or you're just doing it because you're weak. Either way, it doesn't matter. You're acting in the interest of people that are not American. 100%. There's no other way to sit down, or Canadian, whatever way you look at it. Because right now, going and provoking that thing is going to cause the destruction of the country. I'm watching men acting like they're women and following the lead of women.
Yes.
This is so cocked out that they're acting like they cannot see things from cause to effect, that they don't understand circumstances because they are using the women to push their agenda. They're acting like they don't understand, and it is disgusting.
I saw white men complaining, pissed off at people for the rage baiting because they said, what about the other 14 victims that man attacked? He attacked 14 other people. And I was saying, what about the judges and the police that were involved in letting this man loose on the street? I have been attacked by repeat offenders. I was forced by ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, to live with repeated offenders, single American men that were drugging, raping, and beating me repeatedly and recording the crap and putting it online for profit. How many people are going to be in this situation? Who are going to keep the people accountable? Who's creating the circumstances to do this to people? How many times are people going to go around and act like this is a skin issue when you have government level people putting these people in the situation to do this? And everyone's going to go around talking, acting like they're angry and offended for clicks. I have no respect for any of you anymore.
The whole fact of the matter is that people are like, oh, well, you're going to do this and that. The globalists that want to wipe you out, you gotta face reality. It's white people that are doing it to the white people, and they're bringing all these other people, and they're letting these criminals and allowing these dirty judges to get into those positions to do those things because they don't like you. This is not a race issue. It's a religion issue. And if you're not one of these devil worshippers, they're going to take you out. Or if you're not their brand of devil worshiper, they're still going to kill you. That's just the way it is. And if you don't face facts, you're going to lose. You're going to take a lot of people with you, and a lot of innocent people who don't share your sentiment and will take the help from wherever it comes from because they don't want to get destroyed, right? And that's really what's happening here, is that you're getting people that are taking positions away from other people who will tell the truth and let calmer heads prevail. Because if you ever got into a fight, if you berserk and lose control, you're going to lose.
You're right. It's the women. You're right. The men are listening to the women.
Yes.
It's the feminists. They're listening to the feminists.
Yes. Actually, let's pull up a clip of a couple of feminists, and then we'll just how they talk about them in history. Then we'll get a little bit closer to it at the end. Where is it? Oh, there it is. It was hiding on me.
But the Supreme Court of Canada agreed, you see. I could not become a senator because under the British North America Act, as a woman, I was not a person. I, Emily Murphy, author of the Janie Canuck books, pioneer in the war against narcotics, first female magistrate in the empire, but not a person. So we took it all the way to London. A group of Canadian women laboring 10 long years against ridicule, husbands saying, there, dear, until those noble lords of the Privy Council agreed in 1929. I, Emily Murphy of Alberta, and all Canadian women after me, persons under the law. So we could sit in the Senate after all.
These were women that also pushed some very, very bad ideas, like the eugenicist ideas. You saw them the last episode that we did, talking about this stuff, with all wearing their Nazi hockey jerseys, and they were very bold and proud. And this is why all this sentiment to have sympathy for Hitler is because this is what they were doing before that, and they were supporting them. But this is where we're getting to this point where we need to start telling the truth and looking at the situation, because at the end of the day, this can't continue. People are so blind that are being led off of this, and they've been pushing things in their face over and over again to get people angry and inflamed. And when they do that, they're going to overreact. Like, there are people that want to just sit down, and if they had their way, they would just kill every person who wasn't white.
Yeah.
They would do that. And they think that they were justified because they believe this evolutionary nonsense. And this is why evolution was necessary in order to push these agendas, because you can't sit down and honestly look somebody in the face when you realize that everybody came from Adam, who was then created by God, that you could go and do these things. This is why they spiritualize away what the Bible says is literal. Because if you don't do that, you have zero justification for doing this.
And you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
There was a woman, actually I forget her name, but she made a post. She's a secretary or something, works for RFK. She has it in her bio. And her cousin, Danielle, last name starts with an H, was murdered not too long ago. Shot, I think, on the bus or something. An American murdered by a immigrant, but she's black and nobody's talking about it. Nobody. I saw another case where a woman was killed by a white man, but they wouldn't even give the name of the woman. They wouldn't give her age or nothing. They just said a woman, and they said they were concealing it, because whatever reason. But this woman's plastered everywhere. So what happened with her is disgusting. Like I said, of all people complaining, I understand because I've been in these situations where this has almost happened to me. I've had this multiple times, and it's terrifying because you have no chance as a small woman. You're cooked unless the grace of God slides you by. But they're talking about immigrants dying, which everyone is complaining that the left is always talking about immigrants dying. But when an American is killed and they're saying, oh, what about the Americans? What about the Americans? When it's a Black American murdered by an immigrant, it's fine. Who cares? Like, this is crazy.
There's too many people pushing agendas and politicizing the truth and politicizing victims.
Yes.
And it doesn't help anybody.
For money and clicks.
And all of these people are just running around using this to just to promote an agenda that's going to tear the fabric of the country apart.
And you know what?
What? Go ahead.
And you know what? You know who you can blame for a lot of young women, especially white women, being in situations like this where no one wants to deal with them? You can blame people like the whatever podcast who goes around bringing on young white women who are in destitute situations, forced into poverty, and then have little choice options, go into prostitution or whatever out of desperation. Not saying I agree or whatever, but going around demonizing them instead of telling people how to solve problems. And then women, when they're alone and bad things happen to them, men just complain. And they're like, oh, so I saw someone edit a picture of a white guy behind the girl. I said, they're like, oh, well, this would have been a better situation, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know. Why don't you ask where the white man was? Why was this girl out alone? Why is she out working by herself? Where are the men to protect her? Why did she have to flee Ukraine? Why was she forced out of her home country into isolation where this would happen?
Guess what? If the white government, the mostly white government, didn't decide to go ahead and put biolabs in the Ukraine, she probably, and Russia didn't invade because of that, and all the other stuff they were doing, she wouldn't have had to flee.
Yeah.
She wouldn't need to come to America, to a strange place.
Anyone with sense understands when women have to flee, or anyone has to flee to a foreign country, they're automatically going to be in danger. Immigrants are automatically in danger because they're in a foreign land. Even if you go as a tourist somewhere, when I went to the EU, when I went to UK to visit my family, they're like, you better be careful on the metro, because if they can tell that you are a tourist, and there's people down the line that will say, this is what the girl's wearing, she's a tourist, and they will rob you. I had it happen to one of my friends. Bro. And you're living in a country that is unbeknownst to you. You don't know anybody. You're alone. What do you expect to happen? Jesus Christ.
Okay. Let's go to the next clip.
So I had been waiting to see if MSDNC and all of these other left-wing media outlets were going to cover this tragic story. So recently in Charlotte, an Iranian refugee by the name of Irina Zarutska, please forgive me if I am mispronouncing her name, was fatally stabbed in her neck for no apparent reason by a black man named DeCarlos Brown. This is moments after she was stabbed in her neck. And his punk bitch ass, look at everybody that didn't even try to help to see if she was okay. Pure evil. Why isn't left-wing media, or actually I think they recently started covering it. See, this is my problem with this. Not only was it unprovoked, but nobody helped her, because her skin is white. And you know what else is crazy? Let me show you something that I found. Where that red circle is, it says Black Lives Matter. So we're just going off of what the picture says. She was also an activist for Black Lives. And then to find out that motherfucker had been arrested 14 times and was released by this goofy goober ass bitch with pronouns in her bio. So you already know where she stands. So my question is, why aren't people really covering this? I'm going to tell you why. Because she's white and he's black. It's that fucking simple. If it was a white man that stabbed a black woman, we would not hear the end of it. And then you got dumbass idiots like this. There's some really evil people on this earth, and that's why I stay prayed up, and I pray for all of you. I pray for humanity in general, because on no level is this justifiable or okay. And my prayers go out to her entire family. She literally was escaping whatever situation in Iran to come here for a better future, just to get murdered. I'm sick of this shit. I'm tired of it. Let me know what you guys think.
Well, she got the wrong country, but
Yeah.
I'm going to sit down and say this is why they need men to deal with things like this. And honestly, I'm going to tell you straight out, all these women, you're making the situation worse and lowering the bar for men, because they just have to do what you're doing and they'll still get the stuff, because they are not doing much more. Because honestly, the things that you got to consider, there are so many things that went wrong with that. First of all, that man should have never had the opportunity.
Yeah.
When you go back and you look at all of the things that failed in order for that to happen in the first place, you have to start sitting down and questioning why our society is structured this way. Because the people have to just look at things objectively and look at what the effects are. Because when I sit down and I ask the average feminist, what's the drawbacks of feminism, they're like, there is none. I'm like, you're lying. Everything has a good and a bad. There's nothing, unless something that comes from God is 100% good. But everything else, when you do something, you give up something else. Like in Canada, they weren't considered persons, but they also never paid taxes on any property they owned. And so there's a lot of people who ended up getting in problems because they had to pay taxes and they weren't rich. Like a lot of those women who were pushing for them to be persons, and they're like, oh wait, I gotta pay this tax stuff, and they started getting angry. But the whole fact of the matter is that when you pushed women into men's spaces, the risk of harm went up exponentially, because there was a reason why men kept women out of these places, and it wasn't because they thought they were wrong or anything like that. It's because of situations like this. You allow them to be there unaccompanied, and something like that happens. Because if a man is there, that man is risking instant death.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because if he doesn't kill that man instantly, that man is going to kill him. Right? So he goes and he picks up, because there were white people on that bus. Why did he go to the white man and try to stab him? Right? He went after the woman.
If you look at the full clip, the full video clip.
Yes.
Later on, after the black guy goes to hold her neck, after a hot minute, then the white people come around, and he's still the one mainly trying to keep her alive. They're just standing there watching.
Anyway, let's take a short commercial break and we'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
So if anybody needs any the MyPillow products, go check out mypillow.com/Karis. Call 1-800-845-2942. There's lots of good stuff there. Support a good cause. If you can't, then, come and support it. One of the links in the description. Support the fight against human trafficking. What we're trying to do here is to help people get real practical solutions, not just sit around and spew hot air for clicks. Because a lot of the stuff that I do behind the scenes are working with people who've had their lives destroyed and nobody's coming to help them. Most of the people that I'm helping by a long shot are white people, white women who are getting destroyed, getting their children taken, white men who's getting crushed by the system, and nobody cares. So when I sit down and see these people talking about, oh, white people, no, you don't care about any white people. You care about yourself, because there's a lot of white people that don't want what you're selling and they don't like it. And there's a lot of white guys that I see that are standing up and fighting, and they want to win this war. But guys like you guys are blocking the door and working against everybody.
I know countless white people and non-white people who've been stabbed, raped, murdered, beaten, unlawfully imprisoned the last couple of years. And a lot of people are not supporting them the way that they blasted this woman. And you know what? A lot of them are Christian. A lot of them are Christian citizens that are patriots and love the country and are fighting for the country. But a lot of you are ungrateful. Let me lower my voice. My granny came from upstairs a minute ago and said, Kaysha, why are you yelling? A lot of people are so ungrateful. They are not helping the people in their country, their fellow countrymen and women who are fighting for their country. But instead, they're helping the criminals get away, because you know what? How are you going to solve a problem? How are you going to solve a problem unless you look at all of the information? We've reported on so much stuff that everyone talked about the girl, how she went into the fetal position and she was scared. And I understand this. I feel so terrible for this girl. I literally feel like crying because I'm disgusted at what I am watching. When I was in Colorado, my dad and I live streamed when these people called the police and tried to get the police, telling them I was Mexican. The lady was a convicted pedophile. We found out from the family that day when they called the police that the lady brought a boy from the hospital, a disabled boy from the hospital, to her house, drugged him and raped him, and she was convicted and let back out. And she brought me to her place saying that she wanted me to, give information to Lauren Board, what I did, but whatever. I ended up freaking out and sitting in the chair like this, covering my ears, and the woman kept coming closer to me to talk to me and kept trying to touch me. And I was like this. I was stuttering, trying not to engage with this woman because I didn't want to lose it, because I was stressed out. And people were telling me, oh, you're crazy. Why is she acting like this? Why is she stuttering? Why is her accent not clear? Blah, blah, blah. They know I speak multiple languages. And when I get stressed, it's hard to manage. So anyways, when situations like this happen, we've been talking about this for so long. Everybody's surprised, acting some type of way. When it was me, oh, we're crazy, we're liars, we're grifters, we're scammers, all these things, we're crazy. But when it's a random immigrant, we've been warning people about this. They refuse to work with us, and they act and pretend that they're enraged about things that happened like this to this immigrant woman who didn't deserve this, when we've been screaming about this for years. I mean, we've had the video footage of this crap stuff happening to me.
Some of these people actually went ahead and told white people who were getting no help from nobody to just go ahead and don't talk to us and things like that. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? Are you going to help me? Well, no, but just don't talk to them. Does that make any sense? Like, this is what I'm sitting down and I'm looking at, because I'm watching people, and a lot of these guys that are going off and spouting off, when they were sitting down and people were coming with machetes, duct tape, and even the girls admitted that people would look like I was there to kill Kaysha. And nobody cared. My dad
recorded it.
Nobody cared. Everybody wanted to gaslight this and that. Then you have somebody who comes around, and this is what I don't understand. When you sit down and you have a woman coming out and trying to do stuff on an emotional level, it doesn't make any sense, and starts clipping stuff, because when you start looking at the actual full of that video, you're going to see who actually came to help her and who was the first person to help her and got down and do that. And this is where people need to get the information, because they put things out in a manner so that it would cause division. And then the people who put it out didn't put the whole thing out, knowing that it was going to trigger a reaction. This is 100% controlled. And if you think it isn't, you've lost your mind. Because you go back and look at those videos when they talked about safe and effective, and everybody was saying the same thing. And you watch that, they had see it every so often coming out where they say one thing and then they show that every person on the media were all saying the same thing. They were towing the same line.
And everybody is going on acting like now all blacks are doing this and blah, 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 attacking random blacks on the internet. There's Republicans in the, like, saying online, not all of us are like that. We've been fighting with you. We've been patriots this whole time. We've been speaking about all this stuff in all the different communities of what's going on, and we need to deal with this. And they're cutting them down, saying attack them, even when they make the post saying, we're standing with you. We don't agree with what happened to this woman. We've been talking about this problem. We need to fix it. And they just continue to attack them and punish them as a third party to some random person.
Because a lot of these guys have a lot of anon accounts that are probably pedophiles and so forth that are miserable and sitting around there just to cut people down.
But what I'm deeply pissed off and disturbed about is the fact that people like us that have been destroyed for years, and there's been many who have been going out and doing the work to provide solutions to ensure that things like this don't happen. And then there's people online, huge accounts, having the audacity to come and lie with their chest and pretend that they care about this when they know people in their vicinity who have been trying to solve this problem for a long time, and they've been closing their eyes to it because of their pride. Maybe they don't have the same financial bracket that they care about, so they don't respect them. Maybe they don't have the skin color they care about, so they don't respect them. All this stupid stuff, denomination and all this crap. And now look at the result. You are to blame for this result. And until you start coming to deal with solutions, then you are not anyone to talk. I don't have any respect for any of the people who came out talking like this today. And I took note, man. Nobody, not a there. As of right now, my father and maybe one other man I have respect for on any of these platforms. Everyone else can go to hell, because you sitting there doing that is the very cause for why people will continue to die. And you won't know the problem, and you won't know how to fix it because you refuse to look at the whole issue, and you refuse to deal with the people who've been talking about this for a long time. It's disgusting. It makes me want to vomit. How many more women and children are you going to let this happen to? And then how much money are you going to make faking to complain about it?
Let's just get to this next clip.
I don't understand why women want to vote.
Oh, really?
The first time Nellie McClung saw the premier about votes for women,
Things are changing. Good day, sir.
it didn't go too well for McClung.
Take it from me, Mrs. McClung. Nice women don't want the vote.
So then she staged a mock parliament attacking votes for men.
Think what would happen if we actually allowed men to vote. Why, they would become obsessed with politics. Politics are like drinks. Once you start, if men started voting, families would be disrupted. Divorces would follow. Madam Speaker, take it from me. Nice men don't want the vote.
After a long campaign, Manitoba's women became the first to get the provincial vote. The next time they met, in a polling station, it didn't go too well for the premier.
Premier Roblin, I'm sure you don't want your photograph taken with a woman who's not nice. Gentlemen.
You know the funny thing about Premier Roblin? The floodway that they have in Winnipeg, they have some of the best flood protection out of any place in North America there, because it's in the middle of a floodplain, and they have a floodway, and they call it Duff's Ditch. And the guy who fought him from building it, they had a flood, like the flood of the century in the year that you were born, Kaysha, 97. And they had the guy on there who was fighting against him to do this, and they were like, "Oh, what would you have done if you succeeded?" And he's like, "Well, I'm glad it didn't." because he was blocking them building the floodway and so forth. And what that woman actually said, all the things that she was mocking and joking about, it actually all came true.
You know what? The feminism, I'm just so like, I'm so mad. Huh?
So she was one of the people that pushed for the forced sterilization of the natives.
Of course she was.
She was a eugenicist.
I'm so tired of living in a country where you have to submit to the evils of feminism. Because honestly, a lot of the stuff that's happening, a lot of this filth that's going on, the way that things are happening is because of the women that are pushing stuff and men are just following the women. I'm watching this. Even myself, when someone came, like I said, I understand this personally. Like this lady could have been me more than once. And it pisses me off that we live in a world like this where women are constantly in danger, just existing, just walking down the street. They're trying to have a better life. They love America. Like the Trump said the girl loved America. I love America too. I respect America for what the Bible says it was meant to be. It is very clear what the work of the Constitution. I'm pissed at the way that women are leading stuff because even when this happened to me in Colorado, the one time, there's more times, but the one major time, only one major person shared my situation. And everyone else kept it quiet. And you know what? After that person shared the information, I got attacked relentlessly by loads of women, and suppressed and cornered and all sorts of things. Like, I cannot begin to understand. I cannot begin to understand the duality of what is going on right now. It is deeply disturbing that we have people that will go on and complain and pretend to deal with things, but then when it's a pick and choose situation, like this is breaking my brain. Because how can you not see what is going on? How can you not understand how this is going to affect every single American, every single Canadian? Like, I don't even know what to say. And the heartlessness of people just blows my mind. Like I said, the only major person that shared my stuff, everybody hates that person. And he's black, so it probably makes it worse. He's mixed race, so he's a race traitor by birth. But still, the people going on with this, it's like, what? Why?
This is the thing that, like, all these people that do this stuff, they're the ones that are like, okay, fighting to make sure that my youngest daughter stays around pedophiles, right? So none of y'all, I have no respect for you because as far as I'm concerned, you're all pedophiles, and you're doing this not only to black people, but you're doing it to white people because anybody who gets helped by them because nobody else is helping them, you treat them the same way, and you're helping a whole pile of pedophiles. These people that are running around, these race baiters, and they're not just white people, they're black people and everybody else who's a race baiter, you are allowing traffickers to run rampant
and literally
across the everywhere.
And literally it's based on if they like you or not, because when this happened to me and the guy shared my stuff, people were telling people not to help me because he specifically shared it. And they were saying that I was involved in crime with that person where there was no crime. It's not even any crime, regardless. So that people would not actually help me. And then I was in worse situations time and time again. How many people is that happening to? Countless, I'm sure. Countless.
Remember that Stanton said her woman's Bible was for people who didn't matter how much theology or evidence that you had, that you just didn't want to hear it. And that's the way a lot of these people think. Right? So I'll bring up this clip of this nut guy talking about what happened.
Oh, and briefly, that judge who let that guy go and he's a repeat offender 14 times, I'm sure it's a multitude of people he attacked, but that judge needs the highest extent of the law. Any police that was involved, any judge that was involved, anybody in that court, whoever was involved with that, highest extent of the law. They need consequences. The people who are doing this. That man is clearly sick in the head, and he needs to be in a facility or locked away. He needs the death penalty.
Because they're not doing things. But listen to what this guy says.
This is the reason we need a national 3-strike policy reinstated. This is why places like Abu Dhabi and the Middle East are so safe. Even the smallest crimes like theft are severely punished. If it was the same way in the United States, things would be safer. I would even make that 3-strike policy retroactive. And like at a certain point, like if you already had the 3 strikes when we institute the policy, you're going to get like a 60-day notice to turn yourself in, or we're going to issue a warrant for your arrest. And if people knew there was a 3-strike policy and you get life, they'd be less inclined to commit multiple felonies or multiple violent crimes. People wouldn't steal if, stealing automatically got you a year in jail. They wouldn't. The consequences aren't severe enough, and so people continue with bad actions.
This is why you don't get people reacting to stuff. And this is what make me want to vomit with these men. Because none of these men talk about what the causes of this were. Because the crime rate wasn't so astronomically through the roof. You go about 100 years ago, even 70 years ago, it was not anywhere near this the way it was. And there was consistently about that percentage of black people in the United States the whole time, right? So people can sit down and take that stuff and stick it where the sun don't shine. What really is that people need to start asking, why are these things happening? And if you say because of genetics, you were talking, and coming out of a man, you're talking like a child, right? You're not looking at circumstances. You're acting like a woman who only sees outcomes and then tries to infer. When I watch men do this, I'm like, you might as well cut off your testicles because you're not a man. You need to sit down and effectively look at the situation and assess it so that you can protect your family. But you're not. You don't care about protecting your community. You can protect about revenge and whatever makes you feel good in the moment. You know what kind of people do that? Pedophiles.
But you know what? Stuff like that remind me that literally no one actually cares about this issue. And this is why me and a lot of people in Pastor Archer's church who we went the other weekend, and you guys saw me speak, why all the people in his church, a lot of them are suffering persecution, why their wives and their children are suffering persecution, why we've come across families in Canada and the US, white, black, any color, whatever, that are suffering egregiously, why people are leaving them in situations to die. That is the most heartbreaking thing you could feel in your entire life, to experience something like this and then have people go around and show no genuine concern and don't actually fix the problem, just running their mouth and saying this or that and all sorts of nonsense to create more problems instead of actually fixing it. That is the most hopeless thing to experience on the planet. That makes people kill themselves.
Yes, and that woman losing her life was horrible.
It was terrible.
And it was terrible that she had to just sit there, and because she was alone and just got murdered because she was weak, and the sick predator goes ahead and goes through the weakest one. Right? And that's the whole situation. Like, I mean, that is crazy what happened. What is worse is that people are politicizing a tragedy rather than trying to bring effective solutions. Because what people are wanting to do, if you really think about what happens and what it's going to take to do that, you're going to be serious tyranny. Women, when they get angry, they just lose it quick.
Yeah,
Men are not
like
supposed
I've
to
been
be
doing this whole
that way.
time.
If men are being that way, they're not men. They shouldn't be in those positions, but they were put in their position because they know that they're going to react a certain way. And I am so shamed at these men that are sitting down and supposed to be men, but they're not acting like men. When there's a crisis, you need men who can think on their toes and act decisively and not sit around and running around screaming like a chicken with or running around with a chicken like a chicken with its head cut off. Because this is what these men are doing, and they're like, oh, we need somebody to do that. No, you're the one who's supposed to be doing something. Go read your Constitution. What does it say? It says we the people. It didn't say the one man that's going to save us all. You think that what would have happened if the colonists had waited for somebody to come in and be a savior for them? You would still be you'd still be a colony.
The colonists were so willing to escape tyranny that they braved the sea, the open sea, to the potential to nothing. They were like, I don't know what's out there. I don't know what's going to come by me, but it can't be any worse than what we're experiencing in the anti-Christ Christian dark age of Europe. And they dealt with it, and they did whatever they could in the most ruthless manner to acquire the Americas so that they would never have to go back to the EU. And they did it.
I honestly, I feel sorry for white people because of the clowns like I see running around today that are doing what they can to destroy white people and their families. And they're doing nothing to help. They're just saying stuff and doing nothing. I really do. Because a lot of the times everybody's pointing at all these immigrants, all these people coming in. Well, who keeps letting them out? Who keeps letting those people in? The government. The government's making everything worse. Not sitting down and saying the guy was right, but the government.
No,
look at all 14 judges that just allowed this guy to go in there. They don't need a 3-strike rule. They need to enforce the law. The 3-strike rule is absolutely 100% unconstitutional. I would never stand for it. What I will stand for is applying the law and using it the way it was intended. There's enough laws on the books to deal with things. People are choosing not to.
Yeah.
And that's where those judges, they need to pay the price. They need to start arresting judges, trying them, and that person should be tried as an accessory to murder.
Yes, because like we've been talking about for a long time, the people who pulled guns on me, they had extensive criminal history. When the police came to me, they were like, you can never speak to this person ever again. You have no idea just how bad this person is. They have an extensive criminal history, like very bad crimes. And ICE let me stay with this person. I have to follow the rules of those person. The judge let that person out on bail, $100,000 bail. I don't know how they made it, but whatever. The judges are constantly. They said that the person was a danger to the community, and especially with extensive past, and they continue to let these people out anyways. The people who were rapists and they did things on camera. I was chased around a house half naked with a knife, with weapons. And they still let these people out. And they played the videos in court and still let the people out regardless. Looked me in my face and said, can you see the video clear enough? The female judge. All of these judges that are responsible for doing this need to be arrested. You know what? She was a white woman. It doesn't matter. They don't care. They're doing whatever they want. The government is letting this happen. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah. We gotta run up on time here, so I'm gonna close here with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. Thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. And Lord, I ask of you to let cooler heads prevail in this situation. Lord, you see that people are trying to push things to a terrible level that more innocent people will suffer from the consequences of these people's actions. Lord, raise men and women up to stand and do what is right. And be with us and bless us and help us that we would preserve the children who need the protection. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah. Wait, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, tune into part 2. Hello friends, my name is Kaysha and I'm a proud member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. And I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. My trafficking began in Saskatchewan, moved into Alberta, and even crossed into the United States. I was stalked, hunted, and ignored by the very systems over the last 5 years that were meant to protect me. This is why, with my father Dale Richardson, we started the Karis Project. This is an Indigenous, survivor-led movement for humanity dedicated to exposing trafficking, government corruption, and holding institutions accountable. One of the most powerful tools that we are using is the petitions for redress of grievances. These are lawful constitutional actions rooted in Canadian and US law, and in treaties that tie us together across provinces, across states, and even across borders. These petitions are precedent-setting. They create a binding record. They demand accountability while representing reconciliation in action. Indigenous and non-Indigenous people working side by side to preserve liberty for all. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help to keep this movement alive, to raise awareness and to build a legacy of justice for Indigenous women, for trafficking survivors, and for families everywhere. Thank you. Please stand with us. Your support makes this work possible. Together we can restore justice, heal families, and defend freedom. And I will close with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. And men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Yeah, I mean, what do you say? What do you really say? This whole situation. You know, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And at the end of the day, the people who are under attack the most are the Christians.
Yes.
Because I'm seeing white people that are getting their rights trampled on. And people need to go back and look at history. People really need to do it. Why did the people flee from Europe? Because the world's biggest genocide that ever happened, and the most conservative estimates are 50 million, but it was more like 100 million people were killed during the Dark Ages over religion.
Yes.
Difference of religion. And this was white people doing it to white people. So that tells you the most people ever murdered over any situation was because of religion.
Yes.
Right now on this planet, there are Christians being persecuted in every country on planet Earth. There are more Christians being persecuted than anywhere else. And you know who's not getting the help that they need? Christians.
Yes.
Doesn't matter where you go. Christians are getting trampled on left, right, and center. Because the true Christians don't buy this nonsense.
No.
Because they know what God says in the Bible, right? That all have equal access to God. And nobody gets any favor because they got skin color. You ask God for repentance, he's going to take you. There is no questions asked. And when you go to heaven, there ain't no white section, a black section, or Asian section. Everybody going to be playing together. So if you want to kill off your neighbor, you're probably not going to go to heaven if you don't repent. Right? And you got to put away your sin.
And you good?
Go ahead.
I want to say something as well. I want to make it clear, like I said, what happened to that girl enrages me. It makes me sick to my stomach.
It's disgusting.
We have been talking about this for a long time. I have been a living example of how many times this almost happened to me. I was posting my battle wounds online as I was getting them. I had to go to hospital, all these things. I could have been this girl very easily so many times. The grace of God alone and my father has spared me. I had a father. I don't know if this girl had anybody. I don't know what her situation was. It's evil what was done. And any judge that was involved in that, letting that guy go 14 times, they all need to go the worst consequence. That being said, if we are living in a country where immigrants can be murdered and they will be propped up to the top of society to the point where the president of the United States of America can give them recognition and everybody in Congress and all these other things, which no immigrant should even be murdered like this. Nobody should be murdered like this. But when you have patriots and Christians that are fighting for your country to keep your constitution, to keep the rights of the white people, and they're being imprisoned, Tina Peters is still in jail. There are people that have been raped, stabbed, murdered, they've been shot. I know people. Examples. Where's the news to prop these people up, these American white people, Christians who are dying for their country?
When people sit down and say that, oh, it was white people that built the country, it was the Christians that built the country.
Oh, yes.
Because a lot of the people that they're letting in that are just lawless and godless, they would have been, where are you coming?
Yes.
Because if you're not going to abide by this, you can go, right? That would be the mentality, because all of these, I don't even know what you call it, devil worshippers that they're bringing into the country, that would have been a hell no, because that's like, what are you trying to do? Invade our country? Because you bring people with similar values, and Christians are generally hardworking. They abide by the law because
they follow the law.
Because the Bible tells them to, and they love God, so they're going to do their best to love their fellow man. But you know who also gets the most flack? Christians. Jesus never sinned. That guy had the worst smear campaign put on him in human history.
They killed him for a smear campaign.
They smeared him left, right, and center, and they had people following him everywhere.
They were constantly talking about conspiracies to kill him in the Bible.
And so
they had spies following him, yeah.
Yes, they had people following. The same thing that they're doing to people now. They, like Solomon says, there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
So let's listen to these people that they're talking about it. And no, this is a tragedy. This woman should never have been killed.
No, never.
She got killed, and people now need to start fixing problems and looking for solutions rather than trying to whip people up into a frenzy, because yes, it's bad, but you know what? I'll say this like it is. These people the black community was filled with all of the stuff that you're seeing right now, but nobody cared because they didn't want it. It didn't affect them.
Yeah.
So they're like, that's too bad. That's your problem. But that's not the way life works. Because eventually it's going to spread to your door.
And you know,
they were able to test it out quickly, because once they started to take the mothers, the fathers out of the homes, guess what happened to the black community? So, and you want to sit down and say it's genetic? When there was a lot of government policy that was sitting there that you could see that they incentivize single parent families and so forth, so that the father was taken out of the home and started to jail him like crazy.
Yeah, feminism. But you know what? If they were propping up the real patriots of the country, if these same white people that are complaining now and doing the rage baiting was propping up even the white patriot Christians in this country that were suffering and dying for the betterment of the safety and the liberty of this country, that girl would have never experienced that. She would have never had that happen, because people would have been actually cracking down.
Because there'd be law and order.
Yes, there would be law and order and things would be dealt with. But because everybody wanted to go around suppressing and killing patriots, Christian
like
patriots.
I said, they hate white people because they hate Christians. Because
yes.
They would be standing up for this nonsense.
Yes. Look how they treat the men like Pastor Arthur Pawlowski. How many times he's been brutalized and abused and arrested just for trying to keep the church open and trying to help people. There's another pastor we saw, he was arrested and put in jail because he said he doesn't want drag queen story time in his library. He has a son. He's a white man. They put him in prison. They're jailing, and the wife was there alone with the son, just worried about what was going to happen.
The Christians are the real target, and white people make up the largest portion of Christians. It's not hard to figure out if you're trying to take them out. That's really it. And this is like you said, race has very little to do with this. This is either are you on Team Satan that loves to rape children, or you're not. And so far, these race baiters of every race, you guys are all helping this devil-worshipping pedophiles. Every single one of you. So you can sit down and say all this kind of stuff, but how many kids are getting raped because of what you're doing? You have a platform, you have a responsibility, right? And for what you have. Everybody's responsible for what's in front of them. And there's accountability and consequences. Like when people find out, and because the truth will never stay hidden forever.
No.
It's impossible. And when they do find out, you're going to have a lot of angry people that are a lot less rational than the ones who are trying to help you.
Yeah.
Or trying to do what's right. Because there's a whole lot of people, because every person I talk to, doesn't matter their color, whether they're white, black, or whatever, they're getting destroyed when they stand up for what's right.
Yeah, because when we went to Pastor Arthur's church and we talked to the people, and there's a variety of people there, when I spoke and told my testimony what happened that last Saturday, everyone told me after, like they came to me and talked to me personally, telling me they know what I'm saying is true, because a piece of my story, they kept saying, oh, I thought when it was going to be over, it just kept hitting me and hitting me. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. But they were like, I know what you're saying is true because we've all experienced a portion of what you went through.
Yes.
And they're Christian. They understand exactly what I'm talking about because they're getting the same persecution as Christians. People are refusing to work with Christians to deal with this issue and trying to act like it's something else to distract people from what's really going on so they can continue to rape and kill people.
And then you say you don't want this kind of filth to go on, and a lot of those people, some of those people got kicked out of their churches.
Yes.
Because they were like, you can't do this. This is wrong. It's not what the Bible says. They get kicked out of the church.
Yes.
Funny how that works. Right? Anyway, let's listen to this clip and we'll move on.
No manual to be a parent. It's no manual to bury your child.
A horrifying tragedy unfolded when 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska, who had fled war-torn Ukraine seeking safety, was fatally stabbed aboard the Lynx Blue Line light rail in Charlotte, North Carolina. The attack happened on August 22nd, just before 10 p.m., as she sat using her phone. The suspect, DeCarlos Brown Jr., 34, a homeless man with a long criminal record, was arrested shortly after and charged with first-degree murder. Authorities noted past disturbing behavior, including a mental health incident in which he claimed a man-made material was inside his body controlling his actions.
You know what's interesting? First of all, that guy's clearly mentally ill. He needs to be institutionalized either in a hospital.
He shouldn't have been on the street in the first place.
He should have never been on the street. Second of all, if people, the way, like I said, what happened to this girl is very evil. And the attention to what happened is justified because it's evil. That being said, if all of the cowards through the last couple of years, the last 5 years before Trump actually came in, when Trump's election was being stolen, if everybody put that same force and attention into propping up the people that were actually doing the work and exposing the filth as it was happening, the election would have never been stolen. Trump would have been dealing with this, and we would never be in this situation. There would not be this financial hell that we're dealing with. There wouldn't be overrun with immigrants that are coming in and doing filth to people. Most of the stuff we're seeing right now would never happen. And Trump would have gotten the information to deal with a lot of problems a lot faster because the information would have been forced forward by the people that were pushing it to do the right thing. Instead, people were cowards. But then people will push information like this willingly. And like I said, rightfully so. This is disgusting. But if you put the same force into saving your country, we would never be in this issue. And that girl, she probably would have never been in this issue either.
A lot of people want to take their frustration on the black people. They don't want to take frustration on the government, who's not putting them in prison. He's bringing in all these immigrants, and the government who's systematically trafficking the children domestically, and so forth. But everybody wants to go after their neighbor, and this is exactly what these globalists want. Walking right into a trap.
But while they're saying this, they're also saying there's nothing we can do about the blacks. They're actively I'm glitching. They're actively telling the white people that there's nothing that they can do to protect their family. So they're not even encouraging them and giving them advice on how they can come together and make this communities more safe. All they're saying is there's nothing we can do about black people and rage baiting.
You know what the thing is? So is people are like, oh, worry about what's going to happen to me. Well, if you don't deal with tyranny, you're going to all be in under the jackboots of it. And like sitting down and saying, just wait. You know what? If you see something in your face, you protect the life, right? That's just the way it is. You can't sit down and say, oh, well, I'm going to go to prison. Well, somebody gets murdered. And we, as men, we have to sit down and think about what can we do to prevent some of these things from happening, and looking at it so that you can go ahead and look at all the places that it broke down, because there's a long chain of breakdowns in situations that put that woman in that situation where that guy had the opportunity to murder her.
Yeah.
Which he should have never did. But there was a lot of 14 arrests with a guy like this. Why is he on the street?
Yeah.
Like, violent guy, not sound in the head. Why is he on the street in the first place? Like, all of those people who kept letting him out,
14 judges,
are responsible for him doing that, because they allowed him to be free when he should not have been.
Yes. And if you think that those judges, like, that they're just letting black people free, they're not. They're not. The black American that I mentioned that was murdered by the immigrant, she was raped and killed. They didn't care. They didn't care. They don't care. They will do anything.
There are people who are pushing an agenda, and the more people get into fall into the trap of the race baiters, the better it is for the globalists. That's all I have to say. We're going to play a clip here. We're going to kind of shift gears here in a second.
You might have heard that Tommy Douglas, founding leader of the NDP and the father of Canadian Medicare, wrote his master's thesis on how we should prevent the subnormal from being allowed to breed. Or how once the famous five finished getting women recognized as persons under the Canadian Constitution, they all championed the cause of forcibly sterilizing the disabled. But eugenics, the policy of controlling human reproduction to weed out undesirables, wasn't just some weird fad among early 20th century progressives. For several decades, eugenics was the thing among elite Canadian society. There were eugenics societies across the country, Kiwanis and Rotary clubs openly advocated for eugenics laws, churches preached it as part of the social gospel, universities touted it as a moral imperative, telephone inventor Alexander Graham Bell headed up an international eugenics conference, eugenicists delivered speeches to the Canadian Club, eugenics delegations were welcomed by federal and provincial cabinets, medical journals and public health officials warned that if Canada didn't start sterilizing its degenerates and denying marriage licenses to the feeble-minded, then the country faced racial suicide. What changed? Nazi Germany. The Nazis took eugenics to its most extreme form, using it to justify the Holocaust, instantly snapping thousands of Canadian eugenicists out of their reverie. But not before they'd gotten a few laws on the books.
So instead of the government actually now doing the eugenics themselves, they're letting out the criminals and bringing in criminals so that they can indirectly kill people.
They're doing that so they can ramp it up again. Notice what that man said. He's the NDP, that's the ultra left wing. These were supposed to be the party of the people. They're the ones who started the eugenics, advocating for eugenics, but he started Canada's national public health care, right? The
That's why they were.
eugenicist.
Wow.
Keep that in mind. Remember Kellogg? Medical eugenics, right? UN?
Oh
Medical eugenics. They're not doing a racial eugenics program. They're doing a spiritual eugenics program, a spiritual one that doesn't care about what. This is why the black people will sell out their own black people. The white people will sell out their own white people, because if you're not on team I worship Satan, you're done. You're cooked. And the more we fight amongst each other, we're giving it to them. And this is why people need to put away their feelings, and men need to start acting like men again. But then we'll pull up this clip here. We're gonna get back again what another feminist did, who was also a eugenicist. Funny how a lot of these feminists were eugenicists.
That's crazy, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
"1942 marked a major shift in eugenics in the US. With America's entry in the Second World War, eugenics became deeply associated with Hitler and the Nazis, so American eugenicists scrambled to distance themselves from Germany's ideas and rebranded themselves under other names, while the scientific consensus shifted overwhelmingly against eugenics in the post-war years. The fact that America had not pursued euthanasia or mass extermination of those considered unfit for breeding, unlike Germany, was a useful way for American eugenicists to distance themselves from the Nazis, despite the racism, sterilization, and other aspects they shared. Eugenics thinking and its conclusions did not vanish overnight. Many racists maintained a belief in racial eugenics well into the second half of the 20th century. Sanger and Planned Parenthood shed the explicit eugenics language and rebranded purely as birth control and abortion activists, pivoting away from talking about limiting the sterilization or elimination of defectives and the feeble-minded to emphasize family planning and voluntary abortion. Sterilization of criminals was ended in 1942 with Skinner versus Oklahoma, but it wasn't until 1978 that laws were put in place nationwide to control compulsory or coerced sterilization. In 1967, the appropriately named Loving versus Virginia case saw the Supreme Court strike down laws banning interracial marriage. Of course, how one views abortion will decide whether you think eugenics has been eliminated on that front too, or is alive and well in the United States. Pro-lifers will argue that the overwhelmingly majority of abortions are still performed on the poor and minorities, the same groups the eugenicists wanted to be controlled in the first place. And in practice, abortion is still achieving its ends. Pro-choicers will argue that modern abortion and family planning is free of the coercion and sinister motives of eugenics and is an entirely voluntary exercise of women's rights. At the very least, the pseudoscience of eugenics is discredited, and many of its worst results, including forced sterilization and bans on interracial marriage, are long gone. But it still casts a shadow over the history and politics of the United States of America.
That's funny. They say it's not coercion; they just deceive people, right? This is where we're at. This is where our society's at. This is part and parcel of all of this stuff that the racist people did, pushed, and now they're having it happen to them. Who has the lowest birth rate right now? White people. Like, I mean, and you have to understand that when these elites come and say undesirable, a lot of people they don't think are desirable.
Yeah.
Even of their own kind. They don't care. Like, people who push these things, you think that they care about you. They make you sound, they use these things to get you angry, but a lot of the people that they're using to accomplish their ends, and then they will discard you like they'll discard you like a dirty shirt, right?
But to deny the way that these things are happening is crazy, because even the white people who came from Europe, who understood why they were fleeing and what was going on with the Reformation, the Christians in general, Protestants and things like that, the Christians that came over, even the guy who made Rhode Island,
Roger Williams,
he said that he was huge, the infancy of the United States, helping craft all of these things. He said that they know that they don't have the full light of Christ, and they don't have the full love of God, because the abuse and tyranny and persecution they went through for hundreds of years in Europe was so dark and so egregious that it affected the way that they were treating people in the Americas. They didn't want to share the freedom because they were too scared that if they shared the freedom with people, that they would receive the anti-Christian dark age that they experienced in Europe with their white counterparts. And they didn't care they told the entire world, no matter where you're from, if you're Christian, come here. And they put laws so that they could bring people over and help them get set up. And they worked harder than anyone else, the Christians. And they said their communities were so good that you could go years without seeing a single drunkard. They understood the effects of the slavery and the tyranny and the abuse that they experienced in the EU and the UK, and how damaging that was to their perception of themselves, God, family, and love for themselves and others. But people today don't want to accept that the years and years of social engineering and circumstances that the government created has nothing to do with what's happening now. It's solely genetic. Even the white people that started this country acknowledged the circumstances by which their own evil was enacted in the Americas.
All right, we're gonna come up here and we're gonna sit down and take a short commercial break, and then we'll come back to some clips.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Hello, we're back. Anyway, we're going to pull up a clip here, and we're going to basically look at some of the stuff that's going on here. So let me get this clip up. Since we were talking about all of that eugenic stuff, we're going to pull up a clip from Kelsey Sharon. I think I probably botched her name. I'm tired. And so she talks a lot about that medical assisted in dying in Canada. Let's hear what she has to say.
I think when you're able to remove the burdens of society, you're always going to have somebody who is absolutely out of their mind going, that's a good idea. Again, it comes back to, if you're unhappy with your own life, you're going to project that out onto others. That's just the truth. That's how humans work. So they took children from communities that were economically not as well off, children who had learning disabilities or were incapable of walking or in wheelchairs or had braces. They took women who were seen as crazy when obviously we know it was a hormonal imbalance or it was some form of issue from, assault. We took children that couldn't see. We took deaf children. We took the veterans who served in World War I who were shell-shocked and in psych wards. And we said to all these people, sign them over to us. We will protect you. We will keep you safe. We will help you. Trust us. And then they brought them to facilities, and in 6 months later, they would send their families letters. Oh, so-and-so died by some natural cause, when realistically they were wheeled or walked or brought into a gas chamber, and they would watch them and decide how long it would take for them to die. And that was the beginning of the Holocaust. That was how they knew how much gas to use, how much drug to use. We've seen this playbook before. This is eugenics. But Canadians and others around the world just cannot fathom that Canada, supposed to be one of the freest nations, safest nations, healthcare, all of this, we are supposed to be the leaders. And now we've become the leaders in death. That is horrific.
So that's Canada with their death care, right?
Yeah.
That's really where we're at, and so forth. And this is where people are realizing that there's a eugenics program. Remember the man Tommy Douglas, who started the whole public health care in Canada, was also a eugenicist. Why do you think he did that? Because if the government controlled the healthcare, it would be easier for them to implement the eugenics program and do the forced sterilizations and all of these things. And like Canada is notorious for covering up wickedness.
Yes. And they'll confess it openly.
Yes.
And then they'll cover it up. The world has a Stockholm syndrome like none other for Canada.
You'll have to understand that if you are able to go ahead and butcher people like that, you're going to be able to do it to any human being.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Yeah, because you have to be a sick person to butcher anybody. As much as I'm like yelling and stuff, everything I went through, I can't harm somebody. I don't have it in me to do serious harm to somebody. I just don't have it in me. For you to go out unprovoked, butchering people, that's another level of psychopath. That is another level of warp.
It's satanic.
It is. Because how do you get that? Sorry. Yeah. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you can get the will and the gall to go and butcher people like that.
Yeah, this is going to be, I mean, I'm going to sit down and say this is going to be a little bit graphic, people. So this is some of what went on the bus. Lord Jesus, have mercy.
I know, it's disgusting.
stop is East West Boulevard Station. Please exit right.
You know what? All you race baiters, you can go to hell. Every single last one of you. You see what those people were doing at the end? It didn't matter what race they were trying to save that woman. That should teach you a lesson. Because if that was you and all you guys that were there, and there were black people, would you say, I don't hate you, let me die? Don't be stupid, man. This is somebody who lost their life. Stop making this into a political issue to get more people killed just because you want to feel better. But that is so disgusting that this woman lost her life and she bled out very fast.
Yeah.
That guy must have stabbed her in her jugular. They tried to do something, but she was dead. She was dead. I watched.
The guy even took his shirt off his back to try and put it.
The blood pool wasn't getting bigger.
That one splat of blood where it went in the corner and it came out and dropped near the door.
Yeah.
At that point, she was probably finished.
Yeah, she was. She
that
lost
was
too
almost
much.
instant because there was a small pool like on her chair when she fell over, and maybe when she
Because
fell
it was
over,
running down her shirt.
Yeah, and when she dropped on the floor, it probably burst out of her neck.
No, it just started to flow out of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The pressure from dropping probably allowed it to shoot because it shot through the thing there. That was terrible.
Yes. I don't want to see any more people, this happen to any more people. I don't care what you want to call people because you know what? Every person is a child of God. God created every single person, whether you want to call them an animal or not. And he doesn't want to see his children getting killed. He doesn't want to see idiots that are going around trying to start and provoke more problems so that more people can die. You know what? You want to die for something? Die protecting people. Die protecting the children. Die protecting your family instead of trying to stoke a war, acting like controlled opposition. Because as far as I'm concerned, every one of the race baiters are controlled opposition. Because you're doing the work of other people to destroy a country. You know who's suffering the most? The Christians. Because if the Christians had their way, this wouldn't be happening. Because when Christians dealing with stuff, there's more law and order.
Yep.
Because they believe in upholding the law.
Yes.
But these judges and all these other people that are putting in power, they're not. They're letting the criminals go free.
The woman had pronouns in her bio. Like they said, she had the pronouns she, her, something in her bio, whatever. So they're like, you can tell what kind of person that is.
I don't care. She still don't deserve. Nobody deserves to get murdered.
No, the judge.
Oh, the judge.
The judge who let the criminal go had pronouns in her
on
bio.
that woke nonsense.
She was not a Christian judge. A Christian judge would not, a proper Christian judge that values God and the Constitution, they wouldn't be letting that criminal out. They wouldn't.
This is what this needs to change, man. This really needs to change. This is a tragedy, an absolute, utter tragedy. And when people are sitting down there and they're trying to get people into a frenzy for clicks so that more people will die, you guys are genocidal maniacs. Genocidal maniacs, because you will watch someone of another race get destroyed and expect it's not going to come back at your doorstep. That's not the way life works.
Yeah.
And then wanting to sit down and blame people like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Start looking at things like men. Men are supposed to create the circumstances to protect society. They don't need to go and run to other people. What do you think they were doing when they were expanding across the country? If you weren't able to protect yourself, you were dead. Because a lot of the times, by the time the lawmen came, if you couldn't handle it, you were dead.
And you know what? A lot of you race baiters going around like this, you've never been in this situation. You've never had anything seriously bad happen to you in your life. All you do is race bait from what you see on the media and other things. I could have very well been this girl on multiple occasions. I've had the guns pulled on me and clocked to my head. I've had knives and machetes pulled on me, all these things. I've been beaten within an inch of my life. I've been hospitalized. I've had weeks where I was vomiting blood. Abused by pit bulls and had to go hospital. Battle wounds all over my body. My father, despite everything I've been through, raped repeatedly in the United States and Canada. continues to try and help men and women who are going around doing this race baiting because he understands the benefit of helping as a whole, because we really don't have a choice of picking and choosing. The bar is so low right now. It's like, as long as you're not a pedophile and a traitor, we have to work with you. That's how disgustingly low the bar is right now. And despite everything I've been through, I'm not even going around like these race baiters trying to say, oh, don't do this and that. There are people I genuinely cannot stand their behavior. And I still support the overall work that they do, because the overall work is actually doing a net positive. I have been in the situation where I could have been this woman, and I am not doing what these race baiting people are. When I see men behaving like this, it makes me want to vomit. I only respect a handful of people online, because when I'm watching this, when people are going on and talking like this and trying to cause more division and problem, they've never been in this situation in their life. They don't know how any of these things come to be. And they're just going around saying whatever they want, throwing things. And other men are just listening to what these men have to say, these women have to say, as if it's gold, as if it's God, as if it's written in stone. That makes no sense to me. As someone who's been almost in this situation like this.
And all these people don't know.
We have more grace than the people who never had anything happen
all
to
these
them.
people don't know what it's like to be. Most of these people don't know what it's like to be in a situation where someone's trying to kill you. I've been stabbed before, more than once.
Wait, what did you say?
I've been stabbed before more than once.
Yes.
And it's not fun.
No.
And it's not fun when you think your life is on the line and then people want to sit down and do this kind of stuff. You got to start using your head. People need to start using their head. Lives are valuable, and you don't, as a human being, you don't have the right to determine what a life's value is. This is why Christians have a better handle, because they understand that God, the infinite God, laid down his life for every human being. Right? That's the value. Don't care what you feel about someone else. Father in heaven, he's the one who determines the value, and the value is what price he paid. So you don't get to sit down and say what you want, because you know what? At the end of the day, I don't care what you believe. Everybody's going to pay the piper. That's the way it works. You might feel like you escape it here, but you're going to wake up in hell. Right?
This is exactly why Christians are the ones who are doing the most work, and Christians are the ones getting most persecution, and they're going to be the ones to band together with other people, the genuine Christians, because they're going to look at that girl, they're going to see what happened, and they're going to understand what's happening with them as well. They're not going to put it to skin color. They're not going to put it to financial bracket. They're not going to put it to area of the country. They're going to put it to themselves and how that affects them as Christians. They're going to get up and do something, and they're going to have more grace for the people sitting across from them, even the people with the most wicked, disgusting, putrid behavior. They will give them grace and mercy because they understand the plan of salvation. They understand their job as Christians in this world and what God has called them to do. And when people are going around, sitting around talking about nonsense and focusing on nonsense and not actually talking about the plight that we have as Christians to go and be the light of the world and to fix, to be in the world and of it, to go out and fix and solve problems. Instead, you're causing more. Christians are doing more for this to prevent this.
You have an opportunity here, because there's a lot of black people and other people that are saying this is absolutely 100% uncalled for.
Exactly.
You have a chance to start uniting people to fight against the criminal activity. But no, what do you want to do? You want to make it worse.
Yes.
You guys need to stop it. You're taking the country to hell, and the people don't want it.
No. And they're actually throwing away the good black people that have been working with them. I'm seeing many posts on X. We've been working with people for years. There's good Christian and conservative black people and good Republican black people. And you guys are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And we've been calling out this bad stuff for a long time. And they're telling them, screw you too. So this shows the type of agenda that's really going on. They don't want the country to be united to fix this problem right now.
All of you race baiters, you're feminists.
Yes, they are.
Every single one of you. Because you're doing things and acting like women, but you're wearing pants. It's really, really it. Because men, they go out and create effective solutions, and they don't run on impulse and feeling.
Yeah.
But you're weak. That's why they put you in that position. Because if you had a spine and actually looked at things, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
This is absolutely shameful. And this demonstrates more and more each day the only people that are going to get this problem, and I said this from the beginning, were the Christians.
Yes.
They're the only people that have the wherewithal and the backbone
Yes.
to do it. Because you know what? When a Christian serves God, he don't care. He fears God more than he fears man, and he will stand on principle, even if it means he goes down to his grave. This is why they can't stand Christians. And they're getting pissed off. They're getting tired. Right? Because when people don't get to know God and get to come to Jesus, and they get murdered, you just separated God from one of his children eternally.
Yes. That's
They
what I
don't
mean.
like that because they know what God did for them.
And the Bible doesn't say that Jesus was killed for his color of his skin. It says Jesus was murdered because of his ideology, his morals, and his principles, the things he was teaching people, and because he was the Son of God.
And he came to save mankind.
Yes.
And, you know, that old nonsense, you save yourself, that's what you think. But I mean, at the end of the day, the more and more I see the Bible, the more I see it playing out day by day. But at the end of the day, I know that God wins, and there's gonna be a whole lot of things changing. But I mean, this is ridiculous. Like the people that are just sitting there using this to stoke division, you all make me want to vomit.
Yeah.
All of you, especially the men. Because you're not trying to help your people. You're trying to destroy them. You're using them. This poor woman is a prop to push your agenda rather than actually getting change. And that is absolutely disgusting and sickening that this is being done. Because people need to work to make sure that they create more security so that there is not these types of things, and all of the things that broke down that allowed that man to be on that bus, because he should have never been there.
Yeah. After the first crime, he should have. In fact,
14 judges had to know about this, continually getting worse and worse and worse.
And let him slide.
And he's mentally unstable. Anyway.
And what's sad is that a lot of Americans have received have received what this woman has received. And there should be more outrage in general to prevent this. People need to work together to fix the problem, man, because that's disgusting. That girl, she should have never been in that position to begin with. That guy should have never been there. She should have never had to experience that.
And
it's the most wicked thing for a woman to flee a country from persecution. I understand that, of danger, and to go and from the boiling water to the frying pan. That's evil.
Yeah, we're running up on time here. I'm going to close here with a prayer. Jesus. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope you've given us. And Father, this day, Lord, I ask of you to be with this woman's family who's now lost their child, and all the people who are suffering in this situation. And Lord, I ask of you this day to let calmer heads prevail, that they can come together to create solutions to protect people so that this kind of wickedness doesn't have to continue happening. And to bring a little bit of a future for the children, that they can finish the work until we see you coming in. This is my prayer in Jesus' name.
Amen. Guys, I don't know what to say. This is horrific. This is really horrific. We need to solve this. And my dad, I think, pretty much said it as it is. So, anyways, thanks guys for tuning in. And women, be safe. Please do not leave the house without men. Like, honest to God, just don't leave the house. Just don't. Like, we no longer live in a world where women can believe that they are safe by themselves. The only protection you have in this world is have a father and a future husband. Get that in your skull. God, your father, and a future husband. Either you submit to the authority of God, your father, and a future husband, or you risk what this poor girl went through on this unfortunate, wicked, and evil, disastrous death. Anyways, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. And to my dearest Karis, until we meet again, my friend, we will.